Every organization today is operating in this digital world that's just buzzing with invisible threats. It can feel like total chaos. So, how do they actually turn that chaos into control? Well, today we're going to break down the playbook they use for information security risk management and see exactly how it works. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start by sizing up the dangers out there. Then we'll flip the script and look inward to find our own weak spots. After that, we'll figure out how to weigh all those risks, pick the right defense, and finally understand why this job is, well, never really done. It's a straight path from chaos to control. To make this really hit home, let's kick off with a scenario pulled right from our source material. Imagine this. A routine check at a university finds that a pretty simple website flaw has left the personal data of 30,000 students completely exposed. Luckily, no one got to it this time. This is the exact kind of thing information security risk management is built to prevent. All right, first things first. Before you can even think about building a fortress, you've got to survey the land, right? That means really understanding the threats that are lurking out there in the digital danger zone. And listen, we are not just talking about random viruses here. A huge concern for any large organization is something called an Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT. And the name says it all. These are not quick smash and grabs. No, these are stealthy, long-term campaigns run by seriously skilled attackers who have a very specific target in mind. This visual right here shows a really key idea. See that circular arrow? It's telling you that an APT isn't a one-and-done event. It's a cycle. The attackers are persistent. They just keep probing and learning and pushing deeper inside a network over time. And here's how that cycle breaks down. It usually starts with an initial compromise, maybe a really clever phishing email. From there, they establish a foothold with some malware. Then the real fun begins. They escalate privileges to get more access, they do some internal reconnaissance to map everything out, and then move laterally to find their real target. The final step is to maintain presence and achieve their goal, whether that's stealing data or just causing a ton of damage. Okay, so we've had a good look at the threats outside. Now it's time to look in the mirror. Let's talk about finding our own weak spots, or as the pros call them, vulnerabilities. This little bug icon says it all, doesn't it? A vulnerability is just a flaw, a weakness in your systems that a threat can use to get in. It's like locking your front door doesn't help much if you leave a ground floor window wide open. That open window is the vulnerability. So, how do you find these open windows? Well, it's a proactive hunt. You can't just guess. Professionals use a whole toolkit of methods. You've got structured stuff like threat modeling and more collaborative things like brainstorming workshops. The goal is always the same. Find the flaws before the bad guys do. Okay, so now you've got two big lists, a list of threats and a list of your own vulnerabilities. What does that equal? Dozens, maybe hundreds of potential problems. You can't fix them all at once. So the next critical step is to weigh the risks. You've got to turn that huge list of worries into a smart, prioritized action plan. And there are basically two ways to do this. First, there's qualitative analysis. That's the fast approach. You're using descriptive labels, high, medium, low, just to get a quick feel for what's most important. But when you need to make the big decisions about budgets and resources, you need quantitative analysis. This puts a hard number on it, usually a potential financial cost. And that's the whole point of this exercise. It's about moving away from gut feelings and starting to make data-driven decisions. It makes sure you're spending your limited time, your money, and your people on fixing the problems that actually matter most, not just the ones that seem the scariest. And here is a fantastic look at how organizations keep all this straight. This is a simplified risk register. Just think of it as the master log for every known risk. It clearly states the risk, it gives it an owner, it assigns a classification like high or low, and it lays out the planned response. It turns all those abstract fears into a concrete, manageable to-do list. Speaking of responses, that brings us right to our fourth section. Once you've identified, analyzed, and prioritized your risks, it's time to actually do something about them. It's time to choose your defense.
And generally, you've got four main options. First, you can mitigate it. That just means you're actively reducing the risk by building up your defenses. Or you could transfer it. Think buying a cybersecurity insurance policy. A third option is to avoid the risk altogether by just, stopping the activity that's causing it. And finally, you can consciously accept it. That usually happens when the risk is pretty low and the cost to fix it is just way too high.
So when you decide to mitigate a risk, you do it by implementing controls. And these controls are your defenses. They're the policies, the procedures, the technologies you put in place to protect your valuable stuff, just like a shield protecting a castle.
Now, it really helps to think about two different types of protection. A safeguard is a practice or a procedure that reduces risk. Think of it like having a fire safety plan. A countermeasure, on the other hand, is something that directly fights the threat, like a fire extinguisher. You absolutely need both. You need the plan and the tool.
And to make sure everything is consistent, organizations set up what's called a security control baseline. A great way to think about it is like a fire code for buildings. It's the absolute minimum level of security that has to be applied to every single system, no exceptions. This is how you prevent any weak links in your chain. And now for our final section. You've identified threats, you've found your weaknesses, you've analyzed the risks, and you've built your defenses. So you're done, right? Not even close. Security is a never-ending watch that demands constant monitoring and reporting. It is so critical. To get this, security is absolutely not a set it and forget it kind of thing. The threat landscape is changing all the time. New vulnerabilities pop up daily, and attackers are always cooking up new techniques. Your defense has to evolve right along with them. So how do you keep watch effectively? Well, you use something called key risk indicators, or KRIs. These are your early warning signs. And as you can see here, a good KRI isn't just some random number. It's highly relevant, it's predictive, and it gives you that crucial early warning before a little problem becomes a massive disaster. Think of them like smoke detectors for your information security. And at the end of the day, this is why it's all worth it. Constant monitoring and clear reporting give the people in charge the visibility they need. It lets them spot trends, understand the company's real risk level, and make smart, proactive security decisions instead of just reacting to the latest fire. So this whole process, from finding threats all the way to continuous monitoring, it's all designed to build a security program that isn't static and brittle, but is a living, breathing system. Which really just leaves us with one last question for you to think about. In this world of constantly evolving threats, which one is yours?